you? It's Amy Scott Grant, your favorite spiritual ass kicker, here with another hot tip for you for Spiritual Ass Kickers Discovery Deck. And today we're talking about a card called Internal Conflict. I don't know how I feel about that. I know this card comes up a lot for people that tend to use this expression. Well, part of me feels like blah, 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 but then this other part of me feels like blah, blah, blah. Yep. There you go. That's internal conflict. Now, the funny thing about which the little description you see just says incongruency within. The funny thing about the internal conflict card is I have found probably about 4 out of 5 times when it comes up, you're like, yeah, no shit. I feel conflicted, right? It's not kind of like an epiphany card where you're like, oh, that's what's going on. Inner conflict. No, when it comes up, you're like, that's definitely part of the problem here. But what you need to know is the reason this card is coming up is because it's telling you that it is a factor in whatever the block is that you're checking around. Okay. So even though you might hear it and go, yeah, I know, that doesn't mean you just go, yeah, I know. No joke. Whatever. What else is going on? It's like, no, it means you see, I do this. I throw cards and I'm like, I don't know. I think it went off the desk. Anyway, it means you need to deal with this. Like you need to deal with it. Or it may also come up to tell you, like, let's say, for example, in that clearing, you actually drew 3 red cards and internal conflict was one of them. Then whatever the other 2 cards are, internal conflict is coming up to tell you, so get this resolved with these other 2 aspects of the block and your internal conflict will be resolved and you'll be at peace. Okay. So it's really a helpful card when it shows up. Let me just check my notes here and see if there's anything else I'm supposed to tell you about that. Oh, how do you resolve it? How do you resolve that internal conflict card? I know you're definitely wanting to know about that. Well, if you haven't already watched my video on crystal grids with the Spiritual Ass Kickers Discovery Deck. Hello, crazy powerful. Oh my God. It's like literally my new favorite clearing method of all time. In fact, I was telling one of my friend slash former client about them, like client turned friend is what I mean. I was telling her, I'm like, oh my God, I just set up a crystal because she was telling me something was going on. I was like, I set up a crystal grid for you. Check it out. Anyway, I sent her that. She was like, oh my God, I totally need another deck because I'm going to need like 1 for crystal grids and 1 for usage. She's like, I use it every day. So I need 2. And I was like, hey, that is not a bad idea for business. You know what I'm saying? I may or may not be working on my 3rd deck right now because I have like so many crystal grids going, but that's because they freaking work. So that's one way that you could clear internal conflict. Another way is simply by getting clarity. A lot of times when you get clarity around an issue, the inner conflict is resolved. I can tell you this just happened to me last week. It wasn't even a decision for me. It was a decision for my son. And like I had checked in, I had 2 other people check in. We all got the same thing. And yet there was this part of me, a lot of times when you hear those words come out of your mouth, you're like, oh, internal conflict, because everything inside you is not congruent. So there's a part of you that's like, hang on, what's going on? And that's what was happening. A part of me was like, ooh, but what if? I was like second guessing this decision. And for me, I don't know, when I make decisions, it's very low. It's like sacral, right? And it's like, I have a feeling in my gut, or I have like a knowing inside me that's like, yes, this feeling was it was very high up in me, right? So it was the head. So I know it was like, again, internal conflict. That's a lot of times what's going on. There's a part in your brain that's like, I don't know if I want to do this or not. So I checked in and realized it was like my issue. It had nothing to do with the decision I was making, what I was doing for him, nothing to do with him. It was all like my issue. And as soon as I got clarity around that, it was like my brain could resolve it, and then the inner conflict was gone. And then the very next time I checked, I'm like, yes, this is the decision, and I'm clear and I'm certain and I'm positive. And boom, we took action and moved forward on it. So there you go. That's your internal conflict card explained. So I hope you enjoy Spiritual Ass Kickers Discovery Deck, which you may or may not know is available on Amazon right now. You could go there right now and get it through Amazon Prime. And I'll see you in the next video.